Unforgettable moments that made history at the Masters. Have you ever watched an athlete do something so absurd, so beyond reason, that it felt like a scene straight out of a movie? Get ready, because you're about to relive the 15 most jaw-dropping moments ever witnessed in golf's most legendary tournament. Shots that defied physics, heartbreaks that shattered champions, and feats so brilliant, they became immortal pieces of sporting history. Because this isn't just golf. This is Augusta National, where the impossible becomes routine, year after year. Phil Mickelson. The shot that rewrote logic. Masters 2010, final round, hole 13. Phil Mickelson stands buried in pine straw, surrounded by trees. The ball sitting in a nest of needles and dirt. No angle, no window, no path. Just branches, tension, and the weight of a major on the line. Any ordinary player would punch out safely to the fairway and try again. But Phil isn't ordinary. 6-iron in hand. 200 yards ahead. A gap between trees barely wider than a doorway. An even footing beneath him. And still, he goes for it. The swing is pure chaos and genius combined. The ball rockets forward, weaving through the trees, as if guided by fate, skips past danger, lands softly on the green, and rolls to a stop just a few feet from the hole. The gallery erupts. Commentators are speechless. Every fan at home thinks the same thing. Did that really just happen? Phil didn't just take a risk, he made the impossible look effortless. That shot turned madness into art. Patrick Reed, the most uncomfortable victory at Augusta. 2018. Patrick Reed slips on the green jacket, the dream moment for any golfer. For him, it's the pinnacle of a career, the victory of a lifetime. But something feels off. There are no roars, no thunderous applause, just a polite, hesitant clapping light, forced, almost awkward. Reed doesn't look like the hero of the day. He looks like the guy who wandered into a party where he doesn't quite belong. And there's a reason for that. Reed didn't just bring his golf clubs to Augusta, he brought a reputation, and not a flattering one. Old college teammates had accused him of cheating, of taking things that weren't his. He was kicked off the University of Georgia team, even after transferring to Augusta State, where he helped win 2 national championships. He didn't exactly win over the locker room, quite the opposite. But that's only part of the story. His own family. Not his father, not his mother, not his sister. None of them were invited despite living just a few miles from the course. They watched Patrick's biggest triumph from their living room. And if that already sounds tense, his attitude didn't help. Confident, arrogant. The kind of player who once said, "I'm one of the top 5 golfers in the world," when he hadn't even cracked the top 20. The kind who celebrates before the ball drops, who walks the fairway like it's his own front yard. So, yes, on paper, it was a flawless win. He stayed calm, fought off challenges from Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler, and earned the green jacket fair and square. But the mood around Augusta wasn't celebration. It was confusion. It felt strange, cold, unsettled. Reed won the Masters, but if you listened closely, you could sense the hesitation in the air. The claps were real, but the joy wasn't. It was a victory filled with brilliance and baggage. A triumph that looked perfect on the scoreboard, but heavy in spirit. Because while Patrick Reed conquered the course, he couldn't escape the tension that followed him off it. Augusta celebrated. Yes, but with reservations. With quiet doubts. With that unmistakable feeling of, yes, but still, the shots that didn't count but became legend. And now, let's change the mood. We're leaving behind tension and silence, and stepping into one of the most surreal, joyful, and magical moments Augusta has ever seen. And the best part, none of it even counted. What if I told you that 2 of the most incredible shots in Masters history weren't official at all? No leaderboard pressure, no prize on the line, just a bit of tradition, a lot of skill, and a touch of madness. Every year, during practice rounds at the 16th hole, players take part in a light-hearted ritual. They try to skip the ball across the pond, like a flat stone thrown into a lake. It's silly, it's fun. And once in a while, it becomes pure magic. In 2009, Vijay Singh made history. He lines up the shot, gives it a smooth swing, and the ball skips once, twice, 3 times across the water. It climbs the slope of the green, curves toward the flag, and drops in. A hole-in-one. Off the water. The crowd goes absolutely berserk. Someone screams, "We'll never see that again." They were wrong. Because in 2020, at that exact same hole, during another practice round, Jon Rahm decided to try his luck, and it just happened to be his birthday. He takes his stance, smiles, swings. The ball skips across the water 1, 2, 3, clean bounces, lands on the green, and begins rolling like it's magnetized. It climbs, turns, slows, and then vanishes straight into the hole. Another ace, another miracle, 2 players, 2 impossible shots, 2 moments of pure golf magic. And yet, none of it counts. No trophies, no scorecards. Just millions of people who watched those clips in disbelief and knew they'd just seen something eternal. Because sometimes, the moments that don't count are the ones that last forever. They'll never show up on a scorecard. They didn't move the leaderboard. They didn't decide a champion. But still they earned a place among the legends of Augusta. Because some shots don't need trophies to make history. Adam Scott, the roar of a nation. Now get ready for something straight out of a movie. What comes next doesn't feel real, but it happened. Under the rain, with thousands watching, and with history waiting on the 18th green. Picture this. The final hole at Augusta. A light drizzle falls. The sky is gray. The crowd is hushed. And you, Adam Scott, are standing over an 8-meter birdie putt to make history. That was the scene in 2013. No Australian had ever won the Masters. And Scott wasn't just chasing a dream for himself, he carried a nation's hope on his shoulders. He carried the heartbreak of near misses and the scars of his collapse at the 2012 Open Championship. Now, all of that came down to one putt. He takes the stroke. The ball rolls. The green trembles. The gallery holds its breath. And when it finally drops, Adam raises his arms to the sky and roars from somewhere deep within, "Come on, Aussie." The sound that follows shakes Augusta. It feels like the perfect ending. But Augusta never gives up its stories easily. Because Ángel Cabrera, the 2009 Masters champion, isn't done yet. Calm and surgical, he responds with a perfect approach to the same 18th green. Birdie. Tie game. Playoff. The tension builds. The rain grows heavier. The green jacket still waits for its rightful owner. They head back to the 18th for the first playoff hole, both make par. No one blinks. So, they move to hole 10, one of Augusta's toughest. This is where legends are made, or broken. Both players hit solid drives. But it's the second shot that will define everything. Scott sends a missile, pure precision. The ball lands and stops less than 5 meters from the hole. Perfect. Cold-blooded. Cabrera answers, but leaves himself farther out. He lines up for birdie and misses. And then, the moment, everything stops. Only Adam Scott, the hole, and the weight of an entire country resting on a single stroke. He steadies himself, takes a breath. Silence the kind you can feel in your bones. The world watches. He strikes. The ball rolls forward, every rotation slowing time itself. And finally, it drops. The roar that erupts doesn't just come from Augusta. It comes from Australia. From every fan who had waited decades for this very sound. Adam Scott becomes the first Australian ever to win the Masters. And in that instant, a legend is born. Tiger Woods, the shot that bent reality. Number 10 on the list. But for many, this is number 1 for all time. Masters 2005. Final round, hole 16. Tiger Woods is locked in a duel with Chris DiMarco. They lead a single shot, and then Tiger overshoots the green. The ball buries itself in thick rough. Danger. The position is brutal. The ball sitting in tall grass, the green sloping viciously away. No room for error. Even CBS commentator Lanny Watkins says it out loud. If Tiger gets this within 15 feet, it'll be a miracle. But this isn't any player. This is Tiger Woods. He studies the lie, visualizes every break, every contour. Then, with that calm precision that separates genius from mortal, he swings. The ball pops into the air, lands high on the slope, the exact point only a master would find. And then, gravity takes over. It starts rolling. Slowly, painfully slowly. Every person watching at home, in the stands, across the world holds their breath. It creeps closer, closer, then pauses right on the edge. A heartbeat of silence. And finally, it drops. The crowd detonates. Augusta erupts into chaos. Tiger raises his fist, and in that instant, golf becomes theater. That wasn't just a recovery shot, it was a moment that broke physics and rewrote sporting history. A shot so cinematic, so impossibly perfect, that even now it feels scripted, except it wasn't. Because Tiger Woods doesn't follow scripts. He writes them. That chip wasn't just the highlight of the Masters. It was the defining mic drop moment of an entire era, one that lives forever in the soul of Augusta. Larry Mize, the shot that shattered Greg Norman, number 9 on the list. And if you're a Greg Norman fan, this one hurts. Masters 1000, 987. 3 names are battling for the green jacket: Seve Ballesteros, Greg Norman, and Larry Mize. Seve bows out on the first playoff hole. That leaves 2, Norman, the heavy favorite, and Mize, the local underdog from Augusta. Everything seems to point toward a predictable ending, until Augusta decides to write another twist. Second playoff hole, par 4, amen corner. Norman is exactly where he wants to be, safely on the green, with a chance for birdie. Everything under control. Mize, on the other hand, is in trouble way right, buried in the rough, about 40 meters out, staring at a terrible lie and a narrow angle. No one expects what happens next. He pulls his wedge, takes one look at the flag, and swings. The ball lands short, hops forward, starts rolling. Firm, true, perfect. And then it disappears. In. For the win. The crowd explodes. Augusta erupts. Norman stands frozen motionless, watching the Masters slip away in a single shot. A shot no one saw coming. A shot no one could stop. Larry Mize, the hometown kid, just pulled off one of the most spectacular and cruel endings Augusta has ever witnessed. One chip, one miracle. A dream for Mize, and a heartbreak for Norman. A moment that would echo through Masters history forever. Rory McIlroy and Collin Morikawa, the wildest bunker in Augusta. Masters 2022, final hole. Sunday, Rory McIlroy and Collin Morikawa, 2 of the most gifted players of their generation, find themselves shoulder to shoulder in the same greenside bunker. Same trap, same pressure, 2 impossible lies. Everyone's thinking the same thing. They'll just play it safe. But Augusta doesn't do safe. Rory steps up first. He exhales, swings, and the ball blasts out low, spinning, skipping, rolling, curving perfectly toward the hole, and drops in. Hole out birdie. The crowd explodes. Rory screams, tosses his club, and climbs out of the bunker like a man possessed, a mix of disbelief and pure joy. And just when it seems like the moment couldn't get crazier, it does. Morikawa steps in. Same spot. Same lie. Same impossible shot. He swings. The crowd watches in stunned silence as the ball follows the exact same path and drops in. Back-to-back holeouts. From the same bunker. The grandstands shake. Fans hug strangers. Even Rory, still laughing. Can't believe what he just witnessed. 2 stars. 2 perfect shots. 1 bunker that instantly became part of Masters folklore. Louis Oosthuizen, the albatross that froze Augusta. Masters 2012. Final round. Augusta National, the cathedral of golf, where legends are built and broken. Louis Oosthuizen steps onto the tee of the par 5 second hole, a monster that has humbled even the best. But Louis stands there, calm as ever. No nerves, no hesitation. Driver in hand, smooth, deliberate swing. The ball soars long, straight, perfect. It lands right in the middle of the fairway, exactly where you'd want it. Now he's got a chance, a slim one, to do something extraordinary. 231 meters to the pin. He pulls a 4-iron. Most players would play it safe, lay up, and move on. But Louis doesn't do safe. He goes for it. The strike is pure. The sound crisp and sharp. The ball lands just short of the green, takes a perfect bounce, and starts rolling. The crowd rises to its feet. The ball keeps tracking. Rolling, rolling, and then it vanishes. In. Albatross. Double eagle. One of the rarest scores in all of golf, and the first ever on that hole in Masters history. The crowd erupts as if he's just won the entire tournament right then and there. Even Oosthuizen, usually stoic, cracks a grin he can't contain. In that instant, he's made history. A moment so clean, so precise, so impossible, that even Augusta itself couldn't stay quiet. That shot no longer belongs to a round or even a tournament. It belongs to legend, Bubba Watson. The hook shot heard around the world. Masters 2012. Hole 10. Sudden death playoff. Bubba Watson is chasing his first Masters title. He launches his drive. And disaster strikes. The ball flies wildly right, disappearing into the trees. For most players, that would be the end. But Bubba doesn't see problems. He sees puzzles waiting to be solved. He's 150 meters out, buried in pine straw, surrounded by tree trunks and with no line to the green. Every angle says, lay up. Every ounce of logic says, take your medicine. But Bubba doesn't play golf with logic. He plays with vision. He closes his eyes for a moment, visualizing a curve that seems to defy physics. Even Nick Faldo, calling the play on TV, mutters, no chance. Then Bubba opens his eyes, pulls a 52-degree wedge, closes his stance, and swings with conviction. The ball shoots out low, screaming through the gap, bending left in a wild, perfect hook that twists through the air like it's alive. It lands, bounces, and stops less than 5 meters from the flag. Stunned silence. Then applause. Then disbelief. He's just bent reality and the laws of golf to his will. 2 easy puts later, Bubba Watson claims his first green jacket. In that moment, he isn't just a champion, he becomes golf's unpredictable artist, the man who paints with spin and chaos. Augusta will never forget that shot. Tiger Woods, the comeback that redefined greatness. Top 5? And this isn't just about golf. This is about redemption, resilience, and rewriting history. Imagine this. The entire world has written you off. They say, you're finished, too broken, too far gone. Your body battered, your personal life in ruins. Surgeries, scandals, adieu y rest. Years away from the spotlight, and an entire generation thinking they've seen your last roar. And then, you return. But not just anywhere. You return to Augusta National, the place where it all began. And you do the impossible. That's exactly what Tiger Woods did in 2019. The man who once ruled golf with an iron fist, who seemed untouchable, had hit rock bottom. 4 back surgeries, endless doubt, pain that wouldn't fade, silence that spoke volumes. But Augusta has a way of resurrecting legends. The final round was chaos. Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Xander Schauffele, all chasing, all dangerous. Every hole was a trap, every putt a test. But Tiger stayed calm, focused, relentless, like a man walking back into his own destiny. Hole after hole, he held his ground patient, unflinching. And when that final putt dropped on the 18th green, the world lost its mind. Tiger Woods had done it again. A one-stroke victory. His 15th major title. But this time, the win wasn't just about trophies. It was about survival. He hugged his mother. Then his children, who had never seen their father win a major. And for a moment, everyone watching felt it. That sense of déjà vu. The flashback to 1997, when a 21-year-old Tiger embraced his father after his first Masters win. 22 years later, the circle wasn't just closing. It was healing. This wasn't just a comeback. It was resurrection. It was Tiger Woods reminding the world that greatness never really disappears. Greg Norman, the collapse that broke every heart. Number 4. What started as a perfect fairy tale ended as one of the most painful days in Masters history. For years, Greg Norman had chased the green jacket. Always close, always dangerous. But in 1996, everything seemed to align. It looked like destiny. His year? He opened the tournament with a course record 63 on Thursday. By Sunday morning, he had a 6-shot lead. It wasn't just an advantage, it was a wall. But Augusta doesn't believe in happy endings. And that Sunday was cruel. It started small, a missed putt here, a bad drive there. Nothing alarming at first. But as he reached Amen Corner, something changed. The swagger was gone. The shoulders slumped. The eyes told the story. Greg Norman, the great white shark, was suddenly fighting to stay afloat. On the other side was Nick Faldo, calm, patient, surgical. He didn't attack. He just waited. Shot by shot, par by par, he erased the deficit, one steady breath at a time. Hole 12 Norman finds the water. Hole 15, 3 putts. And the nightmare takes full control. When Norman reached the 18th green, the damage was complete. A final round 78. A 6-shot lead turned into a 5-shot loss. The roar wasn't for him. It was sympathy, not celebration. And then came something no one expected. Faldo didn't raise his arms. He didn't cheer. He walked over to Norman, put an arm around him, and whispered quietly, "I don't know what to say." Not as a rival, but as a witness. As someone who had just watched a man crumble, live, in front of the world. It was one of Augusta's most painful and most human moments. Because sometimes, golf doesn't end with applause. Sometimes, it ends with silence and a single, compassionate gesture. That day, the green jacket belonged to Faldo, but the emotion, the heartbreak, belonged to everyone. Rory McIlroy, from hair to shadow in just 9 holes. Augusta doesn't warn you. It doesn't tell you when it's going to break you. It simply waits. And then it strikes. 2011. Rory McIlroy, just 21 years old, was leading the Masters from start to finish. He smiled with the ease of a young champion. His swing looked effortless. For 3 straight days, he played like the chosen one. 4-shot lead. Going into Sunday, the headlines were already written. A new king rises. The future has arrived. The first 9 holes of the final round? Steady. Composed. Nothing flashy, but no mistakes either. It felt like the coronation was inevitable. And then came the back 9. And Augusta did what Augusta always does. Hole 10, the long, bending par 4 that punishes the slightest misstep. Rory hooks his tee shot. Triple bogey. Still time to recover. But the unraveling had begun. Bogey on 11. Then comes the short, cruel 12th golden bell. The same hole that has ended so many dreams. Rory's tee shot splashes into the creek. Double bogey. Then the 13th water again. When he walks off that hole, the leader is gone. The smile, the confidence, The rhythm all vanished. He looks lost. No longer the fearless prodigy, just a young man watching his dream dissolve. He finishes with a score of 80. The worst round of the day. From commanding the tournament to tied for 15th. It wasn't just a fall. It was a slow-motion collapse. The kind that doesn't just break your scorecard. It breaks your heart. Tiger Woods. The birth of a legend. Sometimes, Augusta destroys you before it lets you rise. But sometimes, it creates immortals. Number 2. Year 1997. The world stopped. A 21-year-old Tiger Woods arrived at Augusta, not just to compete, but to rewrite the game. He didn't win by a little. He won by 12 strokes. 12. No one before or since has ever dominated the Masters like that. It was as if Tiger were playing another version of golf, entirely a different rhythm, a different planet. Each round was a masterclass. His third round 65-7 under par was the moment everyone realized. This wasn't a competition anymore. This was the dawn of something new. By Sunday, Tiger was untouchable. And when he lifted that trophy, he didn't just claim his first green jacket. He changed the history of golf. The youngest Masters champion ever. A new era had begun. Over the next 2 decades, he would collect 15 majors, chasing only one name, Jack Nicklaus. That day wasn't a victory. It was a declaration. The moment the world realized, it was witnessing the birth of a legend. Jordan Spieth. The collapse no one saw coming. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not to him. Not here. Not like this. Jordan Spieth, the golden boy of golf, was on the verge of perfection. The year 2016. He wasn't just leading the Masters. He was dominating it. The defending champion. Only 22 years old. 2 majors already to his name. And halfway through the final round, he was 5 shots ahead. The green jacket wasn't a dream anymore. It was practically draped across his shoulders. And then came Amen Corner, that quiet stretch of Augusta, where legends are born and sometimes destroyed. Bogey on 10. No big deal. A minor slip. Bogey on 11. The crowd murmurs. The tension builds. Then came the 12th short. Deceptive and merciless. His tee shot into the water. His drop shot into the water again. The crowd gasps. Spieth looks stunned. From the bunker, his next shot comes up short. Another swing, another mistake. When the dust settles, a quadruple bogey 7. In the span of half an hour, the unshakable prodigy goes from leading by 5 to trailing by 3. The world watches in disbelief. TV cameras capture faces frozen in shock. It feels unreal, like the game itself has glitched. This was supposed to be his moment of coronation. His back-to-back Masters victory. His arrival as the heir to Tiger's throne. Instead, it became a cautionary tale. A collapse so sudden, so cruel, that it felt personal. The pain wasn't in the number on the card. It was in the sight of who it happened to. Because Jordan Spieth wasn't just talented, he was unbreakable. The calmest player in the storm. The kid who made pressure look easy. But Augusta doesn't care about resumes. It doesn't care about hype, potential, or promise. Here, no one is untouchable. Not even the golden boy. And that Sunday, Amen Corner reminded the world of one brutal truth. At Augusta, no one is ever safe. Where legends are forged. This has only been a glimpse of what makes the Masters the most unpredictable tournament in golf. Because here, every shot, every heartbeat can turn into a story that lasts forever. If you enjoyed this journey through Augusta's wildest, most emotional, and most unbelievable moments, you know what to do. Hit like, drop a comment, telling us which moment still gives you chills, and don't forget to subscribe, because what's coming next is going to be even more unbelievable. See you in the next video.